for example, María come la manzana. Does Maria eat the apple? Now notice it's still the same. Subject, verb, object. María, the subject, come, the verb, and la manzana. So instead of saying María da la manzana a Juan, we can now say María se la da. Here's how to master Spanish sentence structure in 6 minutes. So in today's video, we're going to go over the most common sentence structure in Spanish. Now, while sentence structure can vary, the most common pattern it follows is subject, verb, object. María is the subject, compra is the verb, and la manzana is the object. So the subject is the person or thing that is performing the verb. So in this case, María is the subject because she is performing the verb of compra. Now the verb is the action word. So María compra, she buys. And finally, we have the object. So in this case, we have manzana as our object. María compra la manzana. Now, in Spanish, we have two different kinds of objects. We have direct objects and indirect objects. In this particular example, la manzana is a direct object because it is directly receiving the action of the verb compra. So, María compra la manzana. Now, if we were to change the sentence, if we were to say, María le da la manzana a Juan, now we have two objects. La manzana still being the direct object, but Juan being the indirect object. So he is being indirectly affected by the verb da, which means to give. Now, we're not going to get super into object pronouns, but now, for example, we could say, María se la da. María gives him it. That's a really cool thing about objects, that we can turn them into pronouns and shorten up our sentences. So instead of saying María da la manzana a Juan, we can now say María se la da. Once again, still following the sentence structure of subject, verb, object. Now, when we use adjectives in Spanish, which are describing words, we'll typically place them after the noun, which a noun is a person, place, or thing. So for example, la casa es grande. So grande is our adjective, which means big. La casa is the noun. So notice how the adjective is coming after the noun. La casa es grande. The house is big. We could also say la casa grande, which means the big house. Now we also have adverbs, which can modify verbs or adjectives. So for example, María come rápidamente. So rápidamente comes after our verb. So it wouldn't be María rápidamente come, we would say María come rápidamente. If you want to become conversationally fluent in Spanish as fast as possible, check out the Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Here's what some of our current members have to say. One of my Academy members, David, gave a speech in front of 500 people in Chile completely in Spanish. He says, I still can't believe I got up on stage in Santiago and gave an entire talk in Spanish at JSCon FCL. I was so scared, but it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. Now, a quick note here on subject pronouns, which are yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes, is that you don't always have to add them to your sentences. So, for example, you don't have to always say yo hablo español. You can just say hablo español. This is because we have conjugation rules in Spanish. And if you're not familiar with those, I recommend you go to my website, SpanishOnAid.com, where you can learn about them for free. Now, for questions, we can simply just add question marks onto the end of our sentences. Now, in Spanish, we also place them at the beginning of a sentence and at the end. So, for example, María come la manzana. Does Maria eat the apple? Now, notice it's still the same. Subject, verb, object. María, the subject, come, the verb, and la manzana, the object. So, subject, verb, object. It's still following the same exact formula. Now, if I was to make that a negative, I would simply add the word no before the verb. So in this case, we could say, María no come la manzana, okay? Same exact formula though, subject, verb, object. Now, we also have more complex sentences in Spanish, but for the most part, it always follows subject, verb, object. So in the example, quiero que María coma la manzana, we're still basically following the same exact formula. The only difference here is now we're adding on this idea of quiero que, but then we still have María coma la manzana. Yo quiero que María coma la manzana. And that is basic sentence structure in Spanish. So just remember, subject, verb, object. If you like this and you've learned something new, make sure to check out my website, SpanishWithNate.com. Muchas gracias por ver esta lección y espero que nos veamos en la siguiente. Adiós.